Felicitations! This is Felicia Day. This is my podcast. Hey, what's up? 2022. I don't know what that sound effect is. It is 2022, which is, I feel like a super awkward number. 2020, it just feels empty. I don't know what it is about the 2022, but for some reason having the twos makes the zero feel very empty, like a droopy. It feels like an itty camelback. You know how like a camel hump goes up? It feels like in a cartoon it goes down. I make no sense. That's why you're here. It is the 77th podcast. I will be transparent with you. I recorded this podcast live on my GEEX Club, GEEX events, as I do once a month. And I forgot to record it until halfway through. So I'm redoing this podcast, but hey, it'll probably be more articulate. Maybe not. I don't know. There's a lot to unload. Not really, I guess. I don't know. I'm in a weird headspace right now. And what is this new year? It doesn't feel like a new year. It feels like I'm in this stasis pod and it just keeps going. And every day is blending into the next. And it doesn't feel, I don't care about New Year. I'll be honest. New Year, I don't care. Apathy. That's what I fear about 2022. Apathy. I went to bed at 11:37. I was like, nah, not worth my 23 minutes. Tick. I was asleep by midnight and I didn't care. And that's how I felt. I don't know what it is. You know, part of it might be that I'm going on vacation next week. So it's the first vacation that as a family we've gone on in 2 years. So, and I don't know, I'm being probably foolish. I'm paranoid about COVID. And I can't get a refund because I used credit card points. You remember all that research I did last year on credit card points? Booyah! I got a whole trip to Hawaii. The car rental, the flights, 2 of the hotels. I paid for one of them, non-refundable, okay? So I have to go. So I can't get sick. The cases are very high in Los Angeles right now. It's very scary, and my kid is unvaccinated. So y'all, I feel like I don't know what's happened since March of 2020. I think I personally avoided the ennui of COVID a little bit, and it is fully set in. The thing that everybody else has already gone through a lot, and I think it's this latest setback. Boy, oh boy, it feels like someone just slammed an elevator door in my hands. You know, in November, things were kind of like going. It felt like I had a couple of external jobs. I flew to London to do The Witcher Unlocked. I got another endorsement deal. I sold a book, like a graphic novel. So I had a lot of stuff going and it was actually getting a little bit hard psychologically to balance it all because I don't want to let go of all the awesome things I've been doing during COVID, but I have to. So it's been a good reset to have the last couple weeks off just with my kid. Nobody to help me take care of her. We've just been hanging out. It's been wonderful. But it does just feel like I'm on a treadmill and the door is shut again. I don't want to take her out because she might get COVID. I don't want to. It feels like people are not really wanting to start the new year off. It's very like, it's awkward. And that's how I feel. Also, I have the vacation, so I can't really get anything started until vacation's over. Whatever. Look at me, I'm bitching about a vacation. What an a-hole. Hey, if you want to get a text alert on all of my stuff, I do send a text out when I upload a podcast, when I have a stream. I do not bug you that many times, maybe a couple times a week. If you want to do that, text subscribe to 310-510-6191, 310-510-6191. That is my community number. Misha Collins got me into it. And again, I do not want to waste your time. And I'm actually going to work on it so it's more granular so that people who want Twitch updates will get Twitch updates. And then people who want podcast updates will get podcast updates. So I just have to figure out how to use the platform a little bit better. For now, just do subscribe. And then after that, I will ask you guys what you want to subscribe. I'll text it and you can literally just say, hey, Twitch, podcast. I just have to figure out how to use it. Okay. I do want to give a shout out to everybody who helped with the charity auction. I raised like $10,000 on the Charity Buzz site. And then for the actual live site. There was several $1,000s. I just want to thank you. Whether you gave to No Kid Hungry or the Walther Foundation, thank you. It all went to kids who deserve and appreciate it. If you gave to someone else, that's wonderful. I think the highlight of the end of the year last year was doing charity stuff, giving to charity. I recently just cleaned out all my closets. Oh boy, y'all. Did I clean some closets? That was the one thing that New Year's spurred me to do because I don't have a creative thought in my head right now. I feel like I have cotton wool in my brain. And so I was like, Felicia, you've been living in filth for 2 years. Get it done. And so I went to Container Store, y'all. My bathroom shelves are so clean. I had dust on some of the upper shelves that I'm not kidding. It was like one of those dirty cars that went up into the mountains and went off-roading, and somebody wrote fart in the back window. Like that's it. That's how dirty. And that I looked at that shelf every day when I was in the bathtub. I'm like, I stared at filth for years. Now I've been in my house for over 10 years. Like there was at least 10 years of dander, human dander in that room. And I want you guys to know that statistically, about half the dust in your house is your own skin. I made that up. I made it up, but I don't know. It is a percentage. How much I'm Googling this. How much human skin in house dust? Because I remember reading it was something very weird. Oh, yeah. Okay, listen. Okay. Sometimes a specific percentage of dust is said to be skin, usually about 70 or 80%. But unless you're a molting reptile or bird, very little of your environment is composed of dead body parts. Is house dust mostly dead skin? It isn't true. Okay, fine. But it grossed you out for a second, didn't it? And also, how does this Google search come up so? How does this come up so fast? 2/3 of the dust in your house comes from the outside, such as dirt and airborne particles like pollen and soot. The rest is carpet, fluff, clothes fibers, and pet hair. So is it your pet's skin? I don't know. We have a lot of debunkers, okay? I don't know. It doesn't seem. I mean, that's a lot of skin. You'd think that if you look at skin flake, okay. I have not had a pedicure in a long time. And let me just say I've seen some peeled skin and it's the color not of dust. God, hey, 2022, felicitations, uncensored. Woo woo. Okay. I don't know where we got off on that tangent, but I'm sorry for it and I apologize. I don't feel ready to start the year and I'm just not on the wavelength. But I will say that the zeitgeist of what I've been living the last couple weeks, I unplugged a lot from a lot of things. And I realized I've been struggling mightily with the real world opening up and opportunities coming to me and trying to maintain what I did during, quote, COVID when there was no outside world happening. And on top of that, having a kid these kids, they require a lot of work. And the older they get more work. And I have less help childcare wise now. And so it's a lot to balance. And I realize I need to be happy. And I'm not happy is when I'm doing things not as effectively or as well as I usually do them. So I think 2 weeks off with my kid, I feel like I can reform the basis of what's functional in my life, adding things on to what is the most important thing, which is my kid. Okay. I love her. I think she's wonderful. She's very funny and a real pain in the butt. And I think she's wonderful. And so that's the basis for which that should be my baseline of my life. And everything I add on to that needs to be fulfilling creatively or be good for my career, right? And so I will be doing this podcast once a month for the time being until I get an opportunity where I get a little more help, because I have literally this is still a beta podcast, 77 issues in. It's still in beta. And there's a reason for that, because I don't feel like it's exactly what I want to be doing with the podcast. And I don't have help. And I have no network. I have sponsors only when some of you go to the GEEX page and get a little shout out. That's it. And it's not really a money issue. It's just a support issue of feeling alone and doing something that takes up time, quite frankly. And I really have to be a little more ruthless because I have a couple writing projects that are going to happen. And I think that's part of the ennui and sort of like wheel spinning thing now, because I do have 3 writing projects that I need to concentrate on, but I can't really start them until the end of the month. One of them is going to kick off, at the end of the month. Another one's going to kick off probably in February. Another one is one that I need to start working on, but I need to do research first. So it's a little bit of we're not getting going kind of thing. And I want to be careful about not, like, I noticed something about myself, and I don't know if this is like you guys. If I have a free moment, I want to fill it. I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing anything. I have an afternoon free. Wow, let's start a new project. Like, no, don't do that. Like, maybe just let yourself be still for a day. It's okay. You can clean another closet out, which, by the way, I did do an amazing job cleaning those closets. I went to Container Store, and I don't know if you have noticed this, but every single place that we shop, you have a membership now, and you need to give them your email, your phone number, your date of birth, and your zip code at the very least to get like 10% off your first order. And I'm like, I am worth more than this. You were saying I'm going to save $15. You are worth more than $15. Your phone number, your email. I urge you, don't do what I did, which is just give it all over for $10. It was just I was mad at myself. Ugh. It really chapped my butt. You're too easy, Felicia. Don't sell yourself short. Also, don't agree to do something that you're going to regret later. And that's kind of so I guess I don't have a New Year's resolution. My only resolution was to just don't be maniacal in using your time in a way that you just have to fill it up. It's not, it's not a ticking time. I don't know. Felicia, just get back to therapy. 80% skin. It's all skin. Yeah, so I have a lot of really fun things hopefully happening, but they're on their own timeline, and I can't control whether they start or not. And so that's kind of the sort of, and the latest Omicron, like, it's very much a setback, I feel, in a way where we have to be very careful. My friend, this is not a made-up story. A friend of mine had a Christmas Eve party only with her family. There were 24 people there from like 4 different family groups, like in-laws and her brothers and, all that. 24 people there. All of them were vaxxed and boosted except for the 2-year-old. They all took a home test, before going to the party that night. 24 people, 15 people got COVID. 15 people got Omicron. I mean, that is, it's so scary. That right there prevented me from going to anything except outdoor activities. Now, I've been taking my kid. My kid she's 4 years old, almost 5. She's really bored at home. And I've been doing everything in the house that I can. And I noticed that she's watching more TV than she should. And I'm like, okay, let's go out. So last Saturday, we went on a scavenger hunt for sea monsters at public parks. And I know that's very strange. Surprisingly, Southern California has a surfiet. Is that the word? How you say it? There's a lot of sea monsters in public parks. So we went to Pasadena there's a kids space, which is a really cool museum for kids. I wasn't letting her near that place. Even though there's a lot of stuff outside, I'm like, you're not going near a place where kids touch stuff. So, but we did go to we went to the park, the playground in front, and then there's a secret pirate-themed playground in the back. And there was a sea monster there that she really had a good time climbing. And she's like, Mama, let's find more sea monsters. I was like, seems like a tall order, kid. Turns out there was a monster park nearby. It is on the National Historic Registry things. It's really cool. And I got to tell you, there was not only a sea monster there was a sea monster that you could slide down the middle of and land. You could slide out a lighthouse down the back of a sea monster. You could climb up a mountain and slide down the neck of a dragon. You could slide down the mouth of a whale. It is so cool, y'all. Oh my gosh, so cool. So let me just tell you, that was kind of a highlight. So then we went there, and then I was like obsessed with the I was kind of obsessed with the whole thing. And then I found another playground with a sea monster. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Los Angeles, but when I say Pasadena, that feels like I'm going to another city, right? No. Los Angeles is just one giant metropolis. And there's little cities within it. You know, there's Santa Monica on the beach and there's Beverly Hills, but there's also Culver City. There's also Encino and Sherman Oaks and Woodland Hills and Burbank and Glendale and Echo Park and Los Feliz. And these are neighborhoods/cities within the massive mega conglomerate. It's kind of like London. You have your neighborhoods, right? This is like kind of London on a car scale. So basically, I drove like 30 minutes to Pasadena for the first one. Then we drove to El Monte, where I've never been before. I mean, LA, I've been here 15 years, over 15 years. There are vast parts of Los Angeles I have not been to. I'll go down a neighborhood that I go down all the time, and I'll be like, oh, I've been on this road. It's just so big. Anyway, so at the Vincent Lugo Park in San Gabriel, sorry, not El Monte, there is a monster park, and it's so incredible. It has 8-foot tall octopuses, and it's just so cool. And there's a Mexican immigrant named Benjamin Dominguez who designed all this stuff. Amazing stuff. And so basically, I found another one of his sculptures in Whittier, which is another 30 minutes south of San Gabriel, which I had never been to either, but it was beautiful. It had a lake. It had wonderful, like a pond, and it had another sea monster. So we went on a sea monster scavenger hunt, and it was really, really fun. And I will tell you that it was just, I felt like I won something. First of all, I won mom. I won a mom award. But he did concrete sculptures all over this, he did some in Las Vegas. I want to go and see all of them. And he did it. Oh, I'm looking right now. His last and most well-known works were with his son were Atlantis and Garden Grove and La Laguna and San Gabriel. That La Laguna is the one we went to. I got to go to Atlantis next weekend. We're going to do a Benjamin Dominguez tour. So if you're in Los Angeles, just know that nerdy parents will really like going to these playgrounds. And that's all I got to say about it. I don't know. I'm wandering all around. So yeah, that was kind of the highlight of the holidays. I don't know. I'm the kind of person, I will look at the Christmas tree the night of the 25th, and I'll say like, hey, a-hole, you're going down tomorrow. Like, I want it gone. I want that tree burnt to a crisp at 12:01 a.m. on the 26th. I want Christmas out of my life. And so I went on this massive cleaning spree, and then I went on my massive container stores, and my master bathroom is so beautiful now. I mean, I put a box in a basket, and it's so well organized. And I looked down at what I did, which was I put 2 stacking boxes in a basket that I pull out, and then I put several smaller boxes in the box. And I thought, Felicia, could you find a smaller box to put in that smaller box that's in the bigger box that's in the bigger box that's in the basket? And in fact, I did. I found it. It's boxception in my master bathroom, and it's beautiful because my hairpins are perfectly contained in a thing that has other hair implements that's in a container that has hair products that is on top of a container that has hair curling instruments that is in a basket that pulls out from under my sink. I think a lot about if I died tomorrow. And I think it's because I'm in a baby group where a lot of the women share pictures of their boomer parents' cupboards and medicine cabinets. And they share like stuff that was expired in 2004. And I get paranoid about everything that I buy and leave in my house that if I die, I'm going to get made fun of after I'm dead because I didn't throw out things that were expired and or useless. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a bunch of coax cables. And I'm like, why do you have these? When you die, people are going to make fun of you for having this. Get rid of it. And so poor Calliope is going to have to clean out everything I own, I think about this a lot because I have a storage unit full of my face. Does she want an 8-foot Nagel painting of my face? What is she going to do with this? I'm not going to be well known. No one's going to remember. I mean, let's just be honest. I don't think what I've done, I hope that what I do transcends a little bit of my life. It probably won't. I think probably 1% of artists ever live beyond. They make wonderful art. They live a little bit. They may have a generation that remembers them and then they're gone. We have to live for the moment. We have to create for the people now. And so I got really a little bit frantic about the state of my, like, the kitchen drawer that just has old broken spoons and menus in it. I was like, we don't need a paper menu anymore. Why do you have a broken spoon? If you died tomorrow, you'd be a laughingstock. Or just a pain in the butt to Calliope who has to clean out this stuff. I don't know. This is not how I usually think, but I play a game called Power Wash Simulator. And I can't play it alone anymore because it triggers, I'm not going to say OCD because OCD is a mental disorder. That's an actual mental thing that is diagnosed and needs treatment. And I don't want to treat it lightly. But I do become very obsessive. And I get very triggered with cleaning and organizing in a way where I can't stop it. So I will spend hours in my bed trying to sleep, but thinking about how I'm going to organize the next closet that I tackle and how I'm going to get rid of things and what I need to order to make it better. I mean, box in a box in a box in a basket. I'm thinking that maybe there's something wrong with me, even though I could find anything like this, Whatever. I feel like because I have this sort of limping start to the year, 2022 is kind of a meh starter. If I could at least be able to see the top of my my bureau, it's kind of like, oh, that's a reward because I can't get out of my house because of Omicron. So I might as well change what I'm seeing a little bit. And that's why I desperately need to go on vacation, even though I am rolling the dice and my kid is not yet vaccinated. And yeah, I might regret this choice, but I think I was not going to send her back to school this week. And taking her to a playground, and she kind of played next to another kid who had a mask on. And the kid, they didn't actually exchange words at all. And the kid ran away after about 3 minutes of just kind of playing next to each other. And she started crying. She's like, oh, I was just making friends with her. And I was like, oh, she's so lonely. And I was like, wow, gosh, I don't know. How do I weigh the mental health needs of my child with the physical health needs with not being able to trust other people, children, to not have COVID, right? Because I know that we're very safe, but who knows, right? So it's just very hard. All of us, and I just want to urge everyone to start this year off, and I'm going to say this and it's going to sound kind of dickish, but start it off a little selfishly for yourself. So, and what I mean is that we have had to adjust a lot of ourselves to accommodate the world. We have had to adjust ourselves to take care of people who need to be taken care of. We have had to adjust ourselves to, change our patterns of behavior to accommodate the world a lot. And it just keeps happening over and over where we kind of feel like, oh, it's back. No, I can't. And I just want to urge you to look at your time and your space in a way that will service what you need from your life. And even if it's just 30 minutes making your desk look really pretty and buying a little pen organizer. Or if it's just setting aside 10 minutes a night to do a language app like I try to do. Like, just don't make very high aspiration. If you do and want to stick to it, that's great. We have a wonderful community, by the way, on the Discord called Creative Accountability. And it kind of came out of NaNoWriMo. But a lot of people are there sharing what they are trying to do for creativity this year. Somebody's even, one of the users is even trying to create, Erin Mori is trying to do like a monthly meetup with some people. And I just want to encourage, the only reason I ever got the guild done was a group of 4 other women. We met each week for pancakes. And sometimes we missed a week and we met every 2 weeks. And that accountability and just kind of catching up with other people's struggles and sharing wins, honestly, it got me to where I am today. And I can't thank that group enough. And so whether it's in real life where you can find some of your friends to Zoom with, or you want to join the Discord, there's a lot of really awesome people either typing or planning on real life chatting to just kind of just keep it on track. And you don't have to create a book. You don't have to do some lofty goal. You could just have creativity in your life and make it part of your pattern of behavior, and having that support really makes a difference. So anyway, I want to give a shout out to that Discord. But yes, just, and I feel like this has really helped me say no to like I said no to 4 things in my inbox today. And they were all people, asking to do my podcast and asking me to do this and that. And I don't have the bandwidth, and my impulse is to say yes to everything. And I was really good for a while. And then I think my desperation to sort of reach out to other people during COVID, I kind of mistaking my labor for hanging out with people. Like doing people favors gives me that sort of positive feeling in my head, but it's not actually servicing me, and it's not real socialization because I'm not even talking to the people that I do a favor for later. So maybe be a little ruthless and get your own creativity off to a firm start before you start loosening the reins. And that's kind of what I'm focusing on. All right. What else? Yes. I have a couple of things to talk about here. And they're mostly books. So I cleaned off my book shelf, and I got rid of a lot of books that A, I already read, B, I got for free and I will not read, and C, I just don't want to read those books. And I just wanted to face up to the fact that I've got other books to read. I did buy a bunch of graphic novels for research, and I'm going to be reading those in the next month because I am going to be writing a graphic novel. I'm really excited about it. And so the books that I got, and I want to just give a shout out to them in case you were interested in what I'm looking at and reading. I'm reading A Gift for a Ghost by Borja Gonzalez, Waves by Ingrid Chabbert and Carole Maurel. I'm sorry if I butcher anybody's names. Are You Listening by Tillie Walden? And I love Tillie Walden. She wrote Turning, which is sort of an autobiographical graphic novel about her coming of age in Austin as a figure skater. It's so wonderful. And Boundeless by Jillian Tamaki, and The Girl from the Sea by Knox Ostertag. So I bought those because they're just women. I went to my friendly local comic store and I just picked up a bunch of graphic novels that I thought looked interesting. They don't have anything to do with what I'm doing, but, inspiring women writing stuff. I also picked up Nancy. Now, I know a lot of you know Nancy as a book. I think I reviewed a survey of Nancy, like a thick hardback about Nancy. And this is the new Nancy. So Nancy got taken over in 2018 by an artist named Olivia James. And I have to tell you, she's so fantastic. It is so surreal and thoughtful and en courant of the times. I just said French badly. It's so profoundly funny, and I just love it so much. And the hardback, I don't know when this hardback came out. I don't know if it's new or not. I'm trying to see the year, but all I know is that I'm so excited to read it. It's very like, it's modern, but not trying too hard. So there are cell phones and stuff, but it's like not something that I think is going to be dated in 10 years. I don't know. Maybe it will be. So anyway, those are the graphic novels I'm diving into. I didn't read a lot of other books, but I will say that if you are a GEEX member, and if you buy 30 GEEX coins, you can get in. And GEEX coins are only I think 40 cents each now. So you can join for, very inexpensively. We're going to be reading Eye of the World, the first Wheel of Time book, and binging the show, all 8 episodes, Wheel of Time, and then talking about the book and the TV show with my friend Bonnie Burton. I would love for you guys to be there because I think it's going to be a really fun discourse because Bonnie's never read the book and hasn't watched the show. I watched the show, obsessively read the books as a kid, and I have opinions, and I'm interested to see what Bonnie's opinions will, because she's a neophyte to this, and I'm really excited about it. So if you want to discuss, join the Geeks Book Club. It'll be the last Tuesday of the month. I think or it might be, that's my daughter's birthday, I think the 25th, so I might push it to the 26th. Just check the Discord. So it'll be the last week of January. So anyway, love to talk about it. It kind of dovetails into what I binged recently, which I loved, which is Foundation. And so I, for the record, did not read Foundation. I know Isaac Asimov is a god to a lot of people. My parents were hardcore sci-fi readers. And so I remember Isaac Asimov books being all around my house as a child. Foundation, I remember. I actually read I, Robot, but I haven't really read a lot of other Asimov. And Foundation, I went in blind to the show. And I loved it, y'all. I loved it so much. I thought it was so well directed. It was everything every sci-fi show I imagined it could be, but then the budgets are so much lower that it never kind of reaches that epic thing, except for Battlestar, kind of. it took Battlestar for, I never finished Battlestar, but now I want to go back to watch Battlestar because it has that sort of vibe. And Lee Pace, I don't know what he did. His body is flawless. He is brooding and posing in a way that I want to see him every second. The special effects are incredible. I just love the casting. The casting is impeccable. I just love it. I love the show. Now, I made the mistake of looking on Reddit and read some reviews of this show. A lot of people hate it because I guess it's so different from the source material that people who felt about Foundation like I feel about Eye of the World are livid. They're just like, you ruined my childhood. This is not, and I really want to read Foundation now, not this month because I got Eye of the World to read and all these graphic novels, but next month I want to read it just because I want to see where people are coming from. Because for me, I read Dune and then I watched the movie and I couldn't have seen a more faithful adaptation of a book. And I didn't look up Reddit to see people complaining about the Dune adaptation. I'm sure there are legions. But it feels like nowadays we are living in a time as geeks where we're getting so much good content and people are finally taking genres seriously. They're spending so much money on doing it right, but they have to do it different. And when I look at the replies to the showrunner of The Witcher, it is appalling because there's so much hate, so much like, you ruined my childhood, you ruined everything. And it's just like, I understand that a little bit because my opinions of Wheel of Time are very different. We're going to talk about that later. But at the same time, I just want to encourage all geeks to love what they love in the format that they love it. And then anything else is kind of fan fiction. You know what I'm saying? Like, no TV show can faithfully adapt a book of this 800 pages. There's just no way. Like, you would be bored. There's no way that you could faithfully adapt every page. And so you have to take some liberties. There are things about writing in the past that are not acceptable now, like diverse casting. Being mad about that is just naive. Like, that is not justified. The world was much more myopic and from one point of view. And we want to make sci-fi and fantasy accessible to everybody who exists. And that's a wonderful thing that we have a broader audience, but people getting so upset about it. Yes, it's wonderful to have opinions, but like taking it personally is, I don't know. I just want to talk everyone down, including me. So if you haven't read Foundation, it is a little bit slow, but it is a wonderful, I loved it. I was riveted. There were a couple episodes that were slower than others, but I honestly was hooked until the very end, and I can't wait to see more. They're 10 episodes. But I will read the book, and I want to be open to because I think especially when you read a book during your formative years, like 14 to 21, I feel like when you imprint on something in that time period, you're forever in that mindset with that piece of content. And so people associate a song or a book or a game that they play with that period of their time. And like, it's hard to be flexible at it. And I empathize with that. But there's no reason to throw on hate. You're getting an adaptation, I mean, Assassin's Creed was terrible, but is it okay to still love Assassin's Creed? Yeah. The movie didn't satisfy, okay? I get it. I don't know who loves that movie. I wouldn't. I mean, I do like looking at some of those actors and some of their performances were wonderful, but yeah, it wasn't for me, even though I'm not a hardcore Assassin's Creed fan. It doesn't mean I'm like, my life is ruined, okay? I think we could get really caught up. So I just want to encourage you guys to be open-minded, love what you love, and be okay with other people loving a different version of what you love. All right. Oh, the last thing I want to give a shout out for is School of Chocolate. It's on Netflix, and it's like the Ted Lasso of TV shows. I read that in a review, and I was like, there's never been a better review because it's about a chocolate chef teaching chefs about chocolate techniques and showing people. I mean, this guy he is like unbelievable. He does this pterodactyl and chocolate that is so incredible. I've never seen anything like it. And he's so kind, and he's a mentor to the chocolatiers. I just love it, y'all. I love it. And so highly, highly, highly recommend it. Okay, I'm going to actually shift into the recorded stuff that I actually did now. So if there's awkward, sorry, but I love you. Before we get to my questions, I'm going to give a shout out. We do have somebody who got a shout out at rally.io/creator/geeks. Rally.io/creator/geeks. It's a great URL. Very easy. your podcast, a book, a game, a blanket, and a warm beverage. I've just described my happy place, and I hope it's your happy place too. Here to many more fun, humorous, and engaging podcasts in 2022. They always bring a smile to my face and hopefully make you smile too. Less than 3 Clevesmill. Thank you, Clevesmill. If y'all would like to get a shout out on felicitations, go to rally.io/creator/geeks. I will be offering that campaign soon. I took them offline for the holidays so I would not get distracted by emails of people wanting to shout outs, but that's okay. So thank you, Clevesmill. Nice to start the year off with such a lovely, positive message. So we have some good questions. Oh, I do want to give a shout out to some of the games I've been playing. Calliope and I finished Go Pikachu. And it was, well, we finished it, but we couldn't get Mewtwo because they were level 70 and we finished the game at level 56 and they just kicked our booty, which was a little bit depressing. Actually, my friend Raiko got Calliope a Mewtwo Pop Funko for Christmas, and Calliope goes to sleep with it in her hand, which is actually quite frightening because it's a sculpture that has a lot of pointy things on it. So I'm afraid she's going to roll over and put her eye out in her sleep. So I always move it, but it's very cute how she goes, "This is my little Mewtwo." She's kind of really into Pokemon right now. So now we're playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is a super cute game. I like it so much more than Go Pikachu because they're just the graphics are a little cuter and there's some mechanics in it. They're a little more fun. We are just getting into the underground area. We're about level 22 now, so we're still, in the awkward early teen years, middle school Pikachus, but it is very cute. So I'm really excited about that. And I streamed the other day this game called Potion Craft, which if I didn't have other things to do, I would be playing that game all day, every day. I don't know how to describe this game to y'all, but it is a puzzle game. It's a puzzle game about crafting potions. And that sounds very strange. I never would have picked it up had my chat not voted for it. It's the look of it is really cool. It's very kawaii, which I learned on my Memorize app the other day. They also I think Memorize, the Spanish language app, which I do every night. It's really geared toward like young hip tourists because they teach you immediately how to go out to a party, go to a tapas bar, and if somebody has condoms. It's like, tienes condones? I know how to say that now, which I probably will never use. But you know what? I know the language. I know how to say condoms in another language. Hopefully I said it right. If I didn't, well, that's my problem. So it's okay. So Potion Craft, I would definitely recommend. And the next game I really want to play is called Timberborn, which is a beaver building game. It's like a building sim, but you're beavers. You're beavers tearing down the remains of humanity who went it's extinct, and you're rebuilding beaver factories. So yeah, sounds great. I don't know. I just know that I'm very excited to get back to streaming, even though I'm only doing it 3 days a week now. So yeah, I'm going to drop one of my streams because it's just, again, I'm trying to do too much in too little time, and I'm doing things not as well as I usually do them. And then when things slip through the cracks, I feel bad about myself. And then I feel like, ugh. So I'm doing a little tangent before I get to your guys' questions. Please leave your questions with hashtag felicitations, either in the Felicia Adventures channel on the Discord, or send them to me on Twitter. My wonderful mod, Sean DeSandy Looky Look, collects them and puts them in a spreadsheet for me. I appreciate you, Sean. So I'm kind of grappling lately with some issues in identity and online behavior. And I can't get this. Okay, so I did in 2018, I think, I did a big fundraiser for RISIS because of the governmental policy of separating children from their parents at the border. I found it to be extremely reprehensible. I'm sure some of you remember that. And I did a huge, we raised, I think like $150,000, maybe even two. I don't remember. $250,000? Something astronomical. It was amazing. So I emailed a lot, and I'm going to have a question. I'm going to get to the point of this. So it was more than $200,000. Yeah. So I'm going to get to the point. I have been thinking about this a lot in that I've been doing more brand deal stuff, and I'm being more aware of what I tweet and trying to be less, not less political, but like being conscious of what I tweet and that, well, what if somebody checks my feed? And I know that people for acting are checking people's actors' feeds a lot too. They're checking their follower numbers, but also how they behave online is actually affecting people getting hired in jobs, which, hey, it should. If you're a racist a-hole, then yeah, you should probably be factored into what, do you want to work with this person? So it is interesting. Um, I'm not that antagonistic, but just, but the other day when I was streaming, I kind of pushed. I was a little uncensored. It was late and I was tired, and I kind of pushed back against somebody who was like, I was kind of railing against millionaires. It was when I was doing my taxes. And so at the end of the year when I do my corporate estimate taxes and I have to pay, you know, almost half of what I earn out the door, and I think about all the billionaires who pay $0 in taxes, and it makes me so angry. And one person in the audience was like, "Oh, well, but millionaires make jobs for other people." And then I started like, "Oh," and I was a little mocking and a little bit too harsh in my criticism, but at the same time, I felt paranoid that I took a stand. Later, I felt really paranoid about just even talking about it at all, and it reminded me of it reminded me of the time when I sent an email out to a bunch of celebrities for the Rice's fundraiser. And one very prominent YouTuber, I will not name them because I'm not that kind of person, but a YouTuber that I reached out to was like, "Hey, I can't take a stand on this issue. I can't be political because my audience will get upset at me. And so I'll give some money to the charity, but I can't appear or endorse it or retweet it or anything." And so I I was understanding and I didn't confront the person, but I was like, "Oh, that's," because for me, like this was not a political issue, but like we're in a world now where literally everything is political. You cannot say, "Hey, trees are great," without somebody being like, "Hey, you tree hugger," like there's literally nothing you could do to not make something political, because everything is political because of social media, I think, because the more triggering you can make things, the more clicks people get, the more engagement they get. And engagement and clicks are the only thing that gets you to the top of visibility on any of these social platforms. So I I don't know why I think about this one email a lot, but I think it's because I empathize with it, because we have to, as a public persona on the internet, and I think this rubs off on everybody to some extent, but obviously somebody who makes money off of their online presence has to be hyper conscious about what they do. But what are we doing to ourselves by not allowing us to take, we don't allow ourselves to take positions on anything, and therefore we don't allow ourselves as people to stand for anything without being hyper conscious of what other people think versus what we truly believe. And so, are we forming real identities and moral, you know, j- platforms for ourselves just as people without this automatic, what are other people going to think about that? And I'm hyper conscious about it because, you know, I don't, the yeah, social media, I think, is part and parcel the response. But I mean, people wanted to sell newspapers in 1920. Okay, they're going to do the most sensational headline ever, right? This is not new. It's just a little bit more powerful because we're all connected in a way. And so I don't. I guess I'm thinking a lot about identity and being an artist and how you can really form yourself and put substance in your work if you're not allowed to put substance in your presence online and in the world today, especially since you can't have a mild disagreement with somebody. Like, you can't really find a middle ground with someone, or it's going to really hard to be friends with someone who has some diametrically opposed. Like, there's certain issues that, like the kid thing. I'm just like, how is that political? But for me, contraception, how is that political? Setting aside, they're just things I can we be friends? And I have one of my oldest friends from college and she's very religious, and she's one of the purest, most beautiful souls. And we don't agree on pretty much probably anything, but we've never really talked about it. And I'll always think she is the most wonderful person, and I'm so grateful for her friendship. Are we getting to the point where that's kind of impossible because what we share online is us to other people? And is there anything else besides that? I don't know. it's kind of like paper mache in a way, right? So we have all these opinions, but we're pasting them on the outside of ourselves. And what are we really forming? Are we going to have anything of substance? Did we really stand for anything? I don't know. Um, it's very tough. It's very, very tough. And I guess I'm thinking of her from, my point of view as somebody who has to be careful. I have to, you know, uh, those part of the way that I support my daughter is through getting some brand deals, and I'm so grateful. And I don't take the ones that I wouldn't take one like I would never do something for cigarettes. I would not probably do one for alcohol because I don't drink hardly at all. I drink a little bit. Um, so there are certain things that I certainly wouldn't do, but like, um, do do I have to? I guess looking at my public persona, you have to kind of be super extra careful. Like after that, the whole GamerGate thing, for 3 or 4 years, I got no video game endorsements or sponsorships, and that's just. And I don't think. And I used to think, oh wow, that was personal. It wasn't personal. It was business, and the business people didn't want the vocal people attacking them by hiring somebody who is a little bit of a quote unquote controversial, even though what I did, in retrospect, like it was not controversial in my opinion, but it's all relative and nothing can be not. And I feel like that zeitgeist is now for everything and everybody. So I'm very thankful for what I have now. I get to work on wonderful video games. I get to, again, do sponsored streams and share games that I love, whether it's somebody hiring me to do it or not. And I love that. And so I'm like, well, anyway, I don't know why I'm even bringing this up. I'm just kind of wandering around some ideas that have been bothering me, but not bothering me, but just like thinking like, well, you kind of have to have an inner and I guess the end of the day is that your social media world is not you. And it is a presentational version of yourself that you would bring to a party. And I guess I'm going to urge myself this year and everybody out there to nurture your inner self that is more private. Because if you neglect your inner self completely, then you're going to be hollow. Like just if you think about it, like you have this outer crusty shell and whatever. All right. It's I just feel like it's something I wish I could be more articulate, and maybe these are just ideas I want to figure out in writing, like how to kind of put them into more articulate verbiage. But at the end of the day, I I I I want people to live the fullest, happiest lives they have, and I see people who are unhappy, and I know people who present something that is beautiful online, and yet they're unhappy underneath. And so we're blurring the line between our inner outer world. And so I don't think there is a version of an outer world that can be completely authentic and quote unquote successful. So if you're looking for quote unquote success, which is people following you and being excited, you can't be authentically who you are and deep and layered as you need to be happy. And so accept the existence of an outer self of yours that is more carefully curated and try not to let it be completely false, but also know there's extra work to be done on your inner self in order to be happy. Because no matter how much external you're going to get from that publicly facing social media stuff, it's not going to substitute for anything that you actually need to be a settled, happy person. And so, yeah. Anyway, so that's my opinions that were a little long winded and not. Whatever. All right, let's go to our questions because we had some good ones. Jennifer Cap asks, what are the best Nintendo Switch games for a 6-year-old? We have Kirby, Go Pikachu, and just got Animal Crossing. Jen Cap, thank you for asking a question. Well, for 6, I personally told my daughter that she could start playing Minecraft at 6 because I think that's a good time for her to start building. She loves building, and once her interest in Legos starts to wane a little bit, I think Minecraft would be an awesome way for her to have that sort of special ability, as well as just learning some gaming skills and computer skills and just being comfortable. I think when I see her try to do like Mario Kart and stuff, it's awesome because she's on rails. But at the same time, I see she's tried to do Mario, jumping Mario, side-scrolling Mario, or Kirby, and she's gotten really frustrated because the controls are just a little bit too hard for her. I wish they had a baby game where they could really learn how to use a controller in a very rudimentary way It doesn't feel like there's a lot out there. Um, we were playing Bowser's Revenge, and you can play Baby Bowser a little bit. Kind of like with Mario Galaxy, you got to be a star and just pointed around. I wish there were just like another baby game for kids to kind of train them to get to the point where they can play Mario. Because at this point, she just watches me play, which is fine. But I do want her to develop the skills of like playing so we can play together. We could do a 2-player. And there's nothing like super baby like that. Even Yoshi, which I find to be one of the cutest. Yoshi Craft World is like my favorite game that we played. It's so cute and so awesome. Um, Even that is too advanced for her. There's just too many controls. So, I don't know. If you have any baby games, send me a note. And I would totally recommend the Minecraft. I would totally mend. I know there's some Lego games out there as well. I tried the Lego Marvel and it was a little bit too explosy. Too many explosions. Breath of the Wild, I really want to do with her, but it is, again, a little too realistic. I'm going to wait until she's like 6 or 7 to play that with her, but it's completely on the agenda. So, for me, but I'm very protective. She gets really very easily. I don't want her to think violence is cool. So the ones that where we whack people with a sword, it needs to be super like not real looking. And the boars in Breath of the Wild were just too real looking for me. So I I want my kid to kick my butt in something one day. And so I would just I think starting out with Minecraft would be great because there are no matter what people say, I don't think looking at screens is so destructive for children. I think it's just are you just putting them there and not watching them watch things? Like I think the worst thing you could possibly do for a child is put them in front of YouTube videos and just let them scroll on the algorithm. That I would encourage you don't do that because you don't know what they're watching, you don't know what they're consuming, and especially for little kids, things that are very quick cut are not good for their attention span. So like for me, watching a video game is much more it requires a lot more concentration and focus, even if you're just watching than anything. And so, yeah, playing together builds skills. So, yeah, maybe I'm just rationalizing being a gamer parent, but I just love it. So, highly recommend um, Yoshi Craft World. Oh, Captain Toad's Adventure is a wonderful game. It's puzzles, and we love doing that together. Animal Crossing was kind of boring for her, but I'm interested to see what she thinks of Minecraft one day. And I really want her to be the one kind of steering and doing it versus watching me. So, anyway, hope you have as many fun times gaming. And yeah, Go Pikachu is great. And I would highly recommend the one that we're playing now, which is Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl Pokemon. It's the same game. I mean, it's clear that they don't reinvent the wheel with these Pokemon games, but the formula works. I change it. All right, Rocket Soup on Discord asks, how about dim apples? How was the box you ordered after the chat with Chuck Wendig? This is an old question, but I really wanted to just give a shout out to Chuck, who is wonderful. He did a great blog, and he's a wonderful blogger. And so his blog he did a wonderful one on 2022 that I highly recommend reading. And yeah, those apples were really good. There was one that really tasted a little bit like cherries, and it did. I know that I don't think you can get the apples now. I think they stopped sending them in November. But artisan fruit, man. I had a dragon fruit the other day for the first time. I always thought it looked like it had fleas in it. It looks like it has fleas in it. Delicious. I also got some jicama. And I'd had jicama before, but we got it from like the little fruit cart at the park. And my kid loves jicama. Who knew? Slips asks, what martial art form is the coolest? I mean, I have an opinion about wushu because wushu, like Jet Li, I believe does wushu. There's nothing better than a good Jet Li movie. So whatever Jet Li does is my favorite, coolest to look at. But jujitsu is awesome in that I just want to that's why my kid's in jujitsu. I just want her to be able to get somebody off her if she's attacked. And I even told her that. I was like, listen, you need to be able to defend your body, but this is not for hurting people. This is because it's just basic, defensive wrestling kind of stuff rather than forms. I love watching the forms. The beauty and ballet of wushu is like so gorgeous. Kung fu. But jujitsu is like, the more practical stuff. But I think the coolest is, anything in a wushu, martial arts movie. I love them. I love them. Richard Gagnon asks from Twitter, what things in life should be common knowledge and art? I didn't know that green onions should be put in water and will grow nearly a foot in a week. The chopped scrap bottoms will spout new growth when put in water. And the glass, wow. Okay, so Richard, I don't have any common knowledge. I just wanted you to know that you blew my mind with this comment. I didn't know that green onions should be put in water. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. I bought my daughter 2 magic beans, and they just look like lima beans. They have grown a foot in 3 days. These might be magic beans. I might be up in the clouds on Saturday. I don't know. It's a real strange situation. Plants growing is miraculous. It's just so cool. We are so lucky that we could put something in the ground that's not edible and get something edible out of it. Does that not just blow your mind sometimes? I'm easily amused. But hey, I'm going to try this onion thing. I don't know about common knowledge. I mean, if you treat people kindly, you'll feel better about yourself. I don't know. It's a good selfish thing to be kind and generous to other people because honestly, it's good for your uh also don't put a fork in the toaster, which I learned the hard way. No one taught me that. Don't put a fork in the toaster. Don't put anything metal in the microwave. I've blown up a microwave that way. I don't think I was taught any practical knowledge. You can substitute milk for buttermilk if you put some lemon in it and you clabber it. I learned that last weekend when I didn't have buttermilk. I clearly don't have any common knowledge. I just learn it as I go along and encounter problems. All right. Peaches Leave asks, hey, Felicia, did you have a baby shower? What would your advice be to someone planning a nerdy, geeky baby shower? Oh, I love this question. Well, Peaches Leave, I did have a baby shower. My friends threw it for me, and they were all worked with me at Geek and Sundry. It was a beautiful shower, and a couple of them were artists and graphic designers, so I got the most beautiful favors, and it was based on where the wild things are, which I didn't know that I was going to give birth to a wild thing. She's definitely that kid, so. But I guess my advice would be to pick a theme, and since the baby doesn't know what's going on because they're gestating, I would pick something that the parents really feel passionately about and go with that theme, but in a babyish way. So, like, if it's a super, like if they love superheroes, then make it not like a Marvel theme party necessarily, but do just a generic kind of kid superhero kind of theme. If they love fantasy, they love like Game of Thrones, do like a unicorn or wizard theme party. If they love, hard sci-fi, do space theme. So for me, I always like it when you take a genre, that you take nerddom, but don't go completely commercial with it. But, I think we're nerds. We love different subjects. We love different worlds. And so looking at that versus like going like, we're all going Harry Potter, which is fine. If that's what you want to do, Harry Potter theme is, I'm sure you can do a wonderful house theme. That's actually a cool baby shower. Even though I am not a J.K. Rowling fan, I still love me some Hogwarts houses. So, that's a cool one, but I would just encourage you maybe be a little more agnostic so it's not so branded and go with the theme versus the brand. That's what I would say. I mean, I love the Where the Wild Things theme because they just had like one of the quotes from the book be kind of the theme. It was I can't remember the name of it, but it was beautiful and it was like, they made custom banners, and there were little Where the Wild Things drawings, but they were hand drawn by the artists, and so it was a little less sort of like, hey, we're just regurgitating the book. But I will say the best thing I did at the baby shower was I asked everyone to bring a kid's book, bring their favorite kid's book that they loved as a kid, and yeah, that was on top of the shower gift. But I had kids' books are like, you can get one for $5. And so I started my kids' library with those books. And even now, I open some of the books and I see one of my friends write a note to my kid in the inside flap. And it just makes me feel like I belong to a community, that my kid has friends and supporters. And she had them even before she was born. I think it's really sweet. So that is my favorite thing about the baby shower. that I had people bring a book and write something to my kid in the inside. So anyway. Okay. Last question. Leo R. Cherry asks, other than Mary Jane Watson on Spider-Man Maximum Venom, are there any other iconic characters you would like to voice for? Well, Leo, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'm a very big Steven Universe fan. I've read all the comics. I would love to be a gem. I auditioned to be a gem a couple years ago. I did not get it. I got a couple callbacks though, which was fun. And I didn't get it, and that's fine. But, Steven Universe is forever. Unless they're never doing any more, and that's fine too. But yeah, it would be cool to be a gem. I mean, I'd also like to be like in Masters of the Universe because I just want to be in a fantasy cartoon. I mean, my friends are in Arcane and I have to watch that. That's my next binge show because I hear Arcane is just incredible. So, yeah, it's I would like to expand my I talked a lot about my 2022 and like my goals and I just want to be a little bit more selfish in developing myself, as an artist and not just always going to the cliche kind of stuff. I know I'm always going to get those roles, but I would really like to push the envelope on what I've been doing and do some more serious stuff. I would love to be doing some dramatic acting on camera, off. And, I can always just make that a goal and work on it. But yeah, I'd love to have a sword. Yeah, that would be super sweet. Right. Well, thank you so much for listening. I want to give a shout out to my Geeks audience who listen live. They're awesome, awesome individuals. If you would like to join the Geeks community, it is pretty cheap right now. I think it's about $20 for all the content on the Discord, the weekly hangouts. I will be doing a lot of in a couple months, I'll be rolling out a brand new kind of program for this Geeks thing, but suffice it to say, the basics are still going to be there. You'll just probably get extra stuff, blah, blah, blah. But the weekly hangouts will always be there. So if you like the idea of a book club or listening to one of these felicitations live or me hanging out with my brother in an NSFWY or doing a creativity hour where we do an RPG or read tarot cards together, come on by. We have a very nice community and it's always nice to just have new people join. All right. Well, thank you so much for subscribing to the podcast and listening. I will see you next month. I hope that you have a wonderful start of the year. Bye.